Hello everyone, I am Misha from Cypress Pillar Healing Arts and Serpent's Kiss Herbals, and tonight I am honored to introduce you to my friend, this beautiful climbing viney cactus, otherwise known as the Queen of the Night or the Princess of the Night. We'll talk a little bit more about those names. The beautiful Selenicereus species. So first, let's talk about what exactly you're seeing here behind me. So this is actually a cabbage palm. There's two. There's a baby right here next to me, and then one that goes all the way up, and it is entirely covered by one of our local night blooming cactuses. Now here where I live in Southwest Florida, you'll actually see a lot of these if you drive around town. And you might think like, well, they're supposed to be here, but these actually are not native. We're just, in my opinion, really lucky to have these absolutely gorgeous plants available and around, kind of like hidden in some of our neighborhoods. The cactus behind me is over 27 years old. We have known this particular plant for that long, and it's been here before we moved here. So we know that it's at least 27, probably quite a bit older. And the reason that I really wanted you to meet it tonight is because it's blooming. Now, the night blooming cactus, this particular one, there are many different types, but this is the Selenicereus genus, and it only blooms once a year. So here in my area anyway, we usually see it blooming right around the beginning of June. And come closer and I'll show you the flowers. They are absolutely spectacular. You can see this one up here, it is bigger than my hand, and it is just this explosion of beauty. They smell really fragrant, and that is because, and actually the way they're designed as well, it's all to attract their pollinators. And you might be wondering, what is gonna pollinate them this time of night? Well, it is about midnight, and right now we expect to see anything from moths and beetles pollinating it to we've even seen bats hanging around them as well. So all of those different night pollinators love this cactus and will come along to pollinate it. This type of cactus is not native to Florida and is commonly found in South America, Central America, throughout the Caribbean, and in some parts of the southwestern United States. So if you wanted to find one of these beauties, where could you see them? Well, I mentioned a little bit earlier that this one is growing on a cabbage palm, and around town I've seen them growing on pine trees, occasionally like an oak, but they seem to really like trees and palms that grow straight up, that don't have a lot of interference from branches. We actually have some on a little oak behind me that my husband just kind of threw over there one day when he was mowing the lawn because he accidentally cut some, and it's doing pretty well there too. But they generally like trees that don't have a lot of an overstory, so that they can get lots of sun. And sometimes you can even find them growing on fences as well. Now this cactus is an epiphyte, and what that means is that they have adapted to grow in harmony with other plants and live off of them, but without being parasitic. So even though this beautiful cactus is completely covering up this cabbage palm, it's not hurting it, it's not parasitic, so there is no harm being done to the plant that the cactus is growing on. So here in Southwest Florida, we have Selenicereus teranthus, which is the princess of the night, and Selenicereus grandiflorus, which is the queen of the night. And they get mixed up a lot. The easiest way to tell them apart is the queen will have longer spines, and typically when you're looking at the long pieces of the cactus, she will have 5 to 8 ribs. So if you took a cross section of it, it would either look like a star or it would have like 8 ribs. The princess of the night, Selenicereus teranthus, usually has much shorter spines. And if you took a cross section of that, you're usually going to see 4 to 6 ribs. The reason that's important is because this plant is extremely powerful medicine. But the one that we know of as being that powerful medicine is the queen of the night, the Selenicereus grandiflorus, as opposed to the Selenicereus teranthus. And I will tell you that I have seen the princess often sold as the queen. I've seen it sold, actually I've seen it a lot of times sold as the queen of the night, because in generally speaking, when people see this plant with amazing flowers, they just call all of them the queen of the night. So if you decide that you want to grow one of these, very important to look at the shape of the cactus. It will never be flat and like thick. It is always about the size of your finger in terms of the diameter of it and the circumference. It's about the size of a finger, maybe a little bit thicker. But if you find one that's flat and wide, that's being sold as the queen of the night, that's not the Selenicereus, which also used to have the genus name of Cereus, so Cereus. And that's the one that is medicinal. They're all beautiful. They all actually bloom at night. So that's kind of where that confusion with the common name comes from. Hey, I bet you're probably wondering what this sucker smells like. And you'll notice that I'm being really careful. Have very precariously balanced. I'm not putting my hands on the ground because my cactus friend, the viney cactus parts, go all over the ground. It loves to spread and it's kind of everywhere, so I have to be really careful. But I thought you might want the description. So it has the most unusual fragrance. To me, it smells a little bit like jasmine, like a very floral smell, but then there's also a little bit of a putridness to it. So I probably am gonna have pollen on my lips because it has so much pollen in it as well. So it has a sweet smell, but also one that smells slightly like it's got a bit of decay to it. These flowers will only stay open for one night only. In fact, they start opening right around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here anyway. And right now at midnight, they are fully open. In about another hour or two, they'll start to close. And by the morning when we wake up, they will be shriveled up and closed for another year. Both the flowers and the stem of this cactus are considered to be very powerful medicine. And this is one that is often considered to be best used fresh, which can make it a little difficult to work with if you don't happen to have one growing nearby. The Selenicereus cactuses are probably best known as strong heart medicine. And when I say that, I mean they are known to be the best medicine for a weak heart. So they work to help strengthen the heart muscle itself and the tissue, helping to reinforce it. And they are particularly well known for helping hearts and tissues after things like stroke and other cardiovascular events that can really stress the system. A unique feature of this medicine is its ability to address the heart-mind connection. And many herbalists that work with this plant specifically use it for those folks who might have things like anxiety or nervous conditions that are related to the heart. And so it's important to understand that this amazing cactus doesn't just have one function, like it's great for the heart, but it actually works in a way that weaves that nervous system and cardiovascular function together. As such, it's really, really powerful medicine. You'll hear me say that a lot, but I just want to stress that this isn't one that you are going to go grab and use for anyone. It's used in very specific cases where there is a heart dysfunction that is very much connected to the mind as well. Remember earlier, though, how we were talking about it's really easy to mistake these for each other? Well, currently in the botanical world in North America, there's a big debate about whether or not the different variations in the Selenicereus grandiflorus are even all the same species. And to make matters even more complicated, we don't have a lot of scientific data on the actions of this plant. So while we know that it is indeed very powerful medicine, we're not really sure what constituents are causing what to happen. That means that we do not have a robust body of scientific evidence, and really, you could probably argue that we don't have that on a lot of herbs that have been used for hundreds of years. But for this one in particular, I just want to caution any home herbalists or anybody who's just getting started working with plants. This one is much better left alone to observe and really appreciate the beauty of it before you dive right in starting to make medicine. Because this plant, our queen of the night cactus, and even the princess of the night as well, are great examples of strong and powerful herbs that are best worked with folks who understand dosing and formulation and who are really comfortable in their herbal preparations as well as their diagnoses and all that good stuff. So If you're just starting out, this is one that is great to appreciate, connect with it, get to know it better, and leave it in terms of making medicine with it. Definitely encourage you to leave that to folks who are a little bit more comfortable working with some of the more powerful plants.